majority of the accidents that we've handled, that's not the case at all. These are law-abiding motorcyclists who happen to have been hurt by the negligence of another party.
Motorcycle accidents and fatalities are on the rise nationwide. In Ohio last year, there were 175 fatal accidents. Proper representation for the victims and their families is more important than ever. We're going to talk to attorney Michelle Martin about that on today's Ask the Lawyer. Michelle, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Great to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about your firm's experience representing bikers who were injured in crashes?
Absolutely. Because my firm handles motor vehicle accidents, that would include motorcycle accidents, semi-trucking accidents, and your random or standard run-of-the-mill motor vehicle accident. And in that motor vehicle accident arm, as I said before, motorcyclists, of course, fall into that special category of incidences. Those cases that we've been handling since we opened in 2014. Luckily, we've had an opportunity to help hundreds of motorcyclists get recovery.
In the motorcycles versus car accidents, I mean, the cyclists get kind of a bad rap about being the ones who cause these accidents. Has that been your experience?
That's always the argument, from the defense side or from the motor vehicle accident uh, defense perspective. Of course, they would like to blame the motorcyclist. A lot of the times we see motorcycles as kind of risky behavior or abnormally dangerous activity. We see because society has sensationalized so many things. You see motorcyclists doing tricks, and so that's kind of the idea that the opponent or the at-fault party would like for a jury or like for society to see is that the motorcyclist was kind of out here being rogue. You see them going in and out of traffic and that they're not obeying the safety rules. However, majority of the accidents that we've handled, that's not the case at all. These are law-abiding motorcyclists who happen to have been hurt by the negligence of another party.
So talk about how fault works into a claim in your analysis of a legal claim after one of these kinds of accidents.
Yeah, so honestly, fault in any type of motor vehicle accident negligence action, you're going to look and see, in terms of determining the liability or the fault, how was the incident caused? So that's how you get to that proximate cause and causation analysis. And you're going to want to look at who was obeying the traffic laws, whether or not, the proper safety gear was worn by all parties, what was the weather at the time, a lot of different things that you're going to consider during normal motor vehicle accidents when it's between one vehicle and, I'm sorry, one car and another car. But when you're looking at a motorcyclist, you definitely want to pay attention because they do get that bad rap and
Mhm.
you're going to have to overcome, that barrier. So you want to make sure that you, as a motorcyclist, you're keeping up on all of your licensures, that you are wearing all your safety gear if in fact you're in a state where it's necessary. Here in Ohio, we have certain qualifiers or certain people who, are required to wear a helmet. But traditionally, we didn't even have helmet laws.
Wow. Well, if the biker is at least partially at fault here, does that affect the claim too, as well?
Well, it can affect the claim. And a biker, just like any other motor vehicle driver on the road, you can have in Ohio what's called comparative fault or comparative negligence. And the biker can be anything less than 50% liable, I'm sorry, 50% at fault, and he could still recover from that other party. So let's say a fact finder, which would be a juror or, a judge, would look at the set of facts and determine the causation of an accident. And in doing so, if they find that the biker is even 49, 48% at fault, that 51% of the other driver is still going to come in and compensate that that motorcyclist.
Okay, so I've got a two-part question for you. Is there a helmet law in Ohio? And if so, what happens if the motorcyclist is in an accident and is not wearing a helmet? Does that affect his or her claim?
How much time you got? No. So there is a newly created kind of qualifying helmet law, if you would. Before December of 2021, so this is how recent it was. There wasn't a helmet law in Ohio. What has happened since December, early to mid December 2021? Um, legislations created to protect minors and those who are kind of novice motorcyclists. So there are three types of folks who are now required to wear helmets. It's folks who have received their motorcycle license for under a year, folks who are under the age of 18, and then you have folks who are backseat passengers, or the companion riders who who are on the motorcycle of someone who's required to wear a helmet. So if they fit those first two categories and you're riding on their bike, you also have to have a helmet on. Now, assuming that you do not have this helmet on, the way in which that works, it goes back to that comparative fault that we were talking about before. So the law is going to look at that and say, well, how much could you have minimized or mitigated your damages or your injury had you been wearing that helmet? So that is going to go into consideration when we are determining what percentage of fault to allocate when we're talking about the actual damage to the party. Maybe not how the accident was caused, but now we're looking at how much damage was caused and how much could have been minimized if a helmet had been worn.
Gotcha. Good answer there. So there are a lot of folks who just do not want to pay legal fees regardless, even if they're involved in one of these accidents. Tell us why it's so important, in your opinion, that they do get representation in one of these motorcycle accidents.
Yeah, so you need to get representation, competent representation ASAP. When you have incidences like this, there's so much evidence that needs to be gathered initially that can start to disappear. So many of the stories start to change. So many witnesses begin to forget things because we're also sensationalized by social media, by television. So sometimes, memories can get foggy. So you want to get legal representation so you can start getting your witness statements down. You can start getting the experts in place. You may have significant injuries where you're going to have your medical experts already forecasting the type of treatment that you're going to have. These cases are just so complex. You're going to have to get experts who specialize in accident reconstruction just for motorcycle accidents. I mean, and these are very particularized areas. So you're going to want to get someone who's knowledgeable about this area of law, who has good relationships with the experts that you need, and has a firm understanding of the laws and in the state of Ohio.
Well, great answers. Michelle, we really appreciate you joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much. Anytime.
Good to talk to you. And that's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been Michelle Martin. If you want to ask Michelle a question about your situation, call the number you see on your screen. Thanks for watching. I'm Tom Mustin for Ask the Lawyers.